The Lost Millennium is a core booster set in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, released worldwide on June 1st, 2005. The set mainly focused on two areas: rock-type monsters and a new archetype which became a fan favorite, especially since they were a prominent fixture in the GX anime, the Elemental Heroes. While the E-Heroes were released in this set, they wouldn't really do much. But in terms of nostalgia, this set was kind of on the higher end of middling for me, but there still were plenty of cards I am really fond of, more than enough to make a top 10 list about. So, without further ado, let's dive into my top 10 favorite cards in the Lost Millennium. Starting off the list at number 10 is Hero Signal. Hero Signal is a normal trap card that reads, when a monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon one level 4 or lower elemental hero monster from your hand or deck. Man, what kid didn't try to make the OG elemental heroes work? Well, I guess actually competitive players and people who didn't even play Yu-Gi-Oh! To begin with. But this card was in all of my hero-centric builds, from playing with my brother and friends to any video game I had on the Xbox 360. Hero Signal was one of the GOATs when it came to hero support. Nowadays, I realize it's way too slow, even back when it was released, to see true competitive play. I'm not discounting how good the replace effect can be sometimes, especially once cards like Stratos were released, but I'm guessing no one really wanted it in any competitive sense. The fact that it was still in every hero deck I played back in the 2010s, years after it initially came out, really goes to show you why I put it on the list, even if at a lower spot. Next up at number 9 is DD Survivor. DD Survivor is a dark level 4 warrior effect monster with 1800 attack and 200 defense with this effect. During the end phase, if this card was banished while face up on your side of the field this turn, special summon this banished card. This effect can only activate once per turn. Take 1D away from this guy's name, and this artwork turns into the Walk of Shame, if you know what I'm saying. All signs point to this monster being in my top 10 faves. From the typing, to the cool artwork, to the good stats, to the unique effect. You guys already know how much I love high-statted monsters, especially for their level, and Mr. Survivor Man is no exception. Him being a level 4 dark warrior with the ability to revive himself from the banished zone gave him some good use cases back in the day of both banished focused and warrior toolbox decks. I'm not sure how much play he saw, but I don't think it's zero. Motherfucker looks like he's about to drop the hardest single of 2005. Linkin Park wishes they could, shit. And at our number 8 spot is Elemental Hero Clayman. Elemental Hero Clayman is an Earth level 4 warrior normal monster with 800 attack and 2000 defense with flavor text that reads, an elemental hero with a clay body built to last. He'll preserve his elemental hero colleagues at any cost. Any cost? Shit. Let me get a mill, bruh. Then I'll stop attacking yo homies. My real question about Clayman is why the does he have Samus Aran's helmet on? Stay in your own franchise, my guy. The best thing about our Clay friend over here is his massive booty of 2000, being a decent wall back in the day. Other than that, you wouldn't shake a stick at this dude competitively. But I, for one, loved this guy to death. The OG lineup of elemental heroes were so charming. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with all things elemental, like these monsters, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and my own creation that I never really brought to fruition called Element Boy, which was a fictional video game I always drew scenarios for back in the day when I used to draw all the time. So the elemental heroes were just up my alley. As far as the first wave of non-extra deck E-heroes went, Clayman was my fave. So here he sits at number 8 on the list, protecting not only his fellow heroes, but your virgin asses from thoughts. And at number 7 is Mao Interceptor Cannons. Mao Interceptor Cannons is an Earth level 4 rock effect monster with 1100 attack and 2000 defense with an effect that says, once per turn, you can flip this card into face down defense position. Real life reference alert. And that reference to something in the real world is any defense that goes up against Kirk Cousins. You get it? Because interceptions? I'm sorry, Kirk. I'm a Falcons fan, but I'm pretty sure you've already lost your starting job to Penix. Didn't think your boy here would bring up sports ball on a Yu-Gi-Oh channel, huh? Anyway, back to these stony guys. I always not only liked the good defensive stat, but the artwork as well. The effect is essentially useless since all it does is flip itself face down. Like, that's it. But as a kid, stats and artwork were all that mattered. I love when they made real life things into something beyond their normal purpose, like these Easter Island Moai statues becoming giant fucking weapons. The artwork kind of reminds me of the cartoons where someone just brushed their teeth and showed them pearly whites off, only for the other person to get blinded by their brilliance. And up next at number 6 is Elemental Hero Thunder Giant. Elemental Hero Thunder Giant is a light level 6 warrior fusion effect monster with 2400 attack and 1500 defense, which requires Elemental Hero Sparkman plus Elemental Hero Clayman as materials to fusion summon, and has the following effect. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned in other ways. Once per turn, you can discard one card to target one face-up monster on the field with original attack less than the attack of this card. Destroy that target. If Clayman was my favorite main deck OG hero monster, then Thunder Giant is my favorite in the whole set. The concept of fusing two elements together to form a hybrid creature was super cool to me back in the day, and this guy was a great way to illustrate that concept. From his appearances in the GX anime, to his badass artwork, to his okay effect, to his good stats, I really enjoyed playing it in any hero deck I played back in high school. Now, I really only ever played him in video game form since I don't believe I ever owned the card IRL, so the nostalgia value kind of makes it not get a higher spot on the list. Regardless, Thunder Giant does still make a middle spot, so that's commendable. And at number 5 is King of the Skull Servants. King of the Skull Servants is a dark level 1 zombie effect monster with unknown attack and 0 defense with an effect that reads, the original attack of this card is the combined number of King of the Skull Servants and Skull Servant in your graveyard times 1000. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other King of the Skull Servants or one Skull Servant from your graveyard. Special summon this card. Spooky, scary skeletons send others to the grave. Bruh, as a gimmick deck, Skull Servants are one of my top 10 favorite. Being able, especially in modern times with all of the support that's been released, to get this bony boy to over 8,000 attack is always a good time. And most of the time, not that hard. I love the flavor of the artwork where all the previous Skull Servants have died and sacrificed themselves to increase this one's absolute power. It references the OG Skull Servants text that says that in great numbers, they're difficult to deal with. I also like his pose here, kind of begging a motherfucker to try. The icing on the cake is the fact that he can come back from the graveyard, just slightly weaker in the process. All in all, this fucking skull came here to ball. And up next at number 4 is Ancient Gear Golem. Ancient Gear Golem is an Earth level 8 machine effect monster with 3000 attack and 3000 defense, whose effect says, cannot be special summoned. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. This card is the definition of hit hard without being able to be stopped. He's still not immune to card effects, but boy, if he battles, it's not easy to thwart him. Being prominent in the GX anime in Dr. Crowler's deck, Ancient Gear Golem really sells the boss monster vibe I like so much. The ancient part in his name is perfectly manifested in the artwork, looking rusty and primitive, but still menacing as hell. If I ever played an Ancient Gear deck, I'd always be pleased as punch to be able to summon this guy out. That stat line ain't no joke either. 3000 is better than even the golden standard Blue Eyes White Dragon, so you know he means business. I just have to wonder, is that gear down there his dick? And at number 3 is Brain Control. Brain Control is a normal spell card that reads, pay 800 life points, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls that can be normal summoned or set. Take control of that target until the end phase. Shit, is she giving me brain? I can't control nothing, if you know what I'm saying. As a formerly banned card, Brain Control is an OG staple card legend in my books. I always had at least one copy of this thing lying around ever since I was in elementary school, but Konami had to ruin it making it nigh unplayable in modern times, eroding it. It used to be able to target any face-up monster, not just ones that could be normal summoned or set. Honestly, I think they jumped the gun with BrainCon, since they started unbanning really broken cards like Change of Heart and Snatch Steal in recent ban list changes, both without erratas. But anyway, the original effect combined with the cool and scary artwork, as well as the nostalgia, give it a higher spot on this list. And the runner-up spot on the list at number 2 is Rock Bombardment. Rock Bombardment is a normal trap card which says, send one rock monster from your deck to the graveyard, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. You may be asking yourself why such an innocuous card makes the list at the runner-up spot. And before playing a rock-centric deck in Duel Links, I may have asked the same thing, but this card is honestly so cracked in any of those decks. Sending Block Dragon to just gain access to it, which it isn't banned in Duel Links, by the way, or sending Revival Golem to use as an extender. Not to mention that the sending part is the cost, so it dodges effect negations. And that's really the only part of the card you want anyway. The 500 damage is just a little treat for you. And it's not a once per turn. The only downside is that it's unfortunately a slow trap card, but having access to Block Dragon pretty easily ain't nothing to shake a stick or stone at. I love how the artwork is just a castle wall being absolutely bodied by flying boulders. It really fits the name, that's for damn sure. But we still have one more card to talk about, so let's get into it. And the winner of my favorite cards in the Lost Millennium goes to Hyrako-Sphinx. Hyrako-Sphinx is an Earth level 6 rock effect monster with 2400 attack and 1200 defense with the following effect. Your opponent cannot select a face-down defense position monster as an attack target. Damn, dude. The nostalgia on this card hits like a ton of Pyramid of Giza bricks, which now that I think about it is only like 2/5 of one brick, but still. Back in high school, my brother obtained the Invincible Fortress structure deck, and this dude was in there. Him, along with his counterpart Cryo-Sphinx, were two cards that I loved seeing just on the fact that they were weird-looking chimeras in line with ancient Egyptian religion with good stats. The effect, on the other hand, was never really a thought to me since it's pretty dog shit in reality. I can't really describe how cool I thought this monster was back in the day, and even now I have immense nostalgia for it, despite not having it back in elementary school when it would have been first released. I've always liked rock-type monsters since they used to not have the best competitive support, making me really root for the underdog. Let me know if we got any rock truthers out there. Better yet, any block truthers. Come on, unban our boy. Well, folks, I can wholeheartedly assure you that we are in the GX era now due to, you know, e-heroes and such. But while the set was more of a middle-of-the-road one for me in terms of cards I really liked, I still realized that a lot of my favorite high school era cards came from this set. But that's it for my time, guys. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here to become a Scrubscriber, along with becoming a channel member if you can afford it, so you can get some cool perks like early video access. And make sure to comment down below what your favorite cards are in the Lost Millennium. Also, while I have y'all here, I just released a rough acoustic version of the first ever serious song I've ever written on my personal channel. Link in the description if you want to check it out. And I will see you guys next time.